What color today? Let's do red. I'm Robert, and you're welcome here in my business shop. On today's episode of What's on My Workbench, we're going to be working with this red leather that I got from Montana Leather. This is their Vaqueta, and it's in red. It comes in 6 colors, so there's lots of options. That's my hardest thing this morning, was try to figure out what color I was going to be working with today. And you know what? Instead of covering it here, we'll get over here on the workbench and we'll talk about today's project. I appreciate you taking time to be in the shop with me today. So to get started here, this project requires 1 piece of leather. I like it. It's kind of like a recipe. It's got 1 ingredient. And to get started then, I need to cut a piece out of this leather that is 9 1/4 by 16 1/2. Now this is the Vaqueta leather from Montana Leather. It's a vegetable tan, but it comes pre-dyed, and this is their red. And this is the 8 1/2 to 9 ounce, and let's see what it measures at. It's right at 9 ounce. And the first thing I need to do is to get it a nice rectangle cut out of this that has true corners on it. So I'll start here on this end, and this side over here, this edge looks fairly straight, so we'll start with that. Okay, so we have our panel now, and I created this pattern here, and this is for the flap, and depending on the fastener, this is a hole here for the center. I'm not going to put that in yet. I'm not sure what kind of fastener I'm going to end up using on this, and I think I want this side here for the flap. It's the cleanest piece. The other one will actually be under this flap. Okay. Let's go ahead and put a line to cut on here. I've used this leather for a couple different projects, and so far I like how it works. It's pretty true to a Vegtan is how it works. I keep saying the only thing to get used to is the colors that are already there. Sometimes I get work done and then I'll dye it later. And I was concerned when I first started using it whether or not the pre-dyed leather would case okay. And I noticed I've used black, fuchsia, red, and brown so far. The fuchsia seemed to take a little bit of extra time, so I don't know if it had set around longer or what, but I mean, it just took a few more minutes. So I think it's pretty true to a regular natural Vegtan as far as how much time it takes to case. And I'm just doing kind of a rough here, and we'll sand and do all our edges later. And that's the other thing. This pre-dyed leather is nice because the edges work fabulous on it so far. I've really liked what I've seen. And I'm going to go ahead and start casing this a little bit because we'll be tooling here in a minute. You can see it absorbs pretty quickly. And the first amount of moisture I need, just enough so I can transfer a pattern, and then I'll keep adding moisture here to it. While that moisture is soaking in, this is my ladies clutch pattern that I use, and I'm able to lengthen this depending on how large I want it, and I've also widened it out easily as well. But I'm bringing that up because from that, I cut a piece of vellum to the shape and size, and then I created this 1/2 inch setback from the edges for my tooling window. And I'm not sure I'm going to cut in an actual window. I'm going to have to think about that, but right now I'm thinking I'm not going to. So then I took one of the patterns I had and overlaid it, and then I made some adjustments in here on the leaves around the flowers. So I'm just showing you this so that if you're trying to figure out how to make patterns, this is one way to do it. I think I've probably got enough moisture in here to transfer the pattern now. So let's go ahead and do that. So all I need to do now is to line up here on this leather. And start tracing. You know, I've said it before, I kind of like using a pencil. It seems to give a little bit of resistance, and that seems to help my tracing. Okay, here's the center. I tried to space the center of the flowers the same distance from the sides and from the bottom of the flap. So I think it looks pretty good. Let's cut it in. I know, cut it out. Where do you usually start? It seems like I find it best to start with the flower. This is 9 ounce, so I can cut fairly deep on this. And I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to line it or not. I don't think I'm going to, but I'll reserve the right to decide that here after a bit. Nice. All right, let's do a little test tooling here. See if we got enough moisture in it. So I'm just using this Berry King lifter, and use a bigger one here on these long ones. I did flip it over and put some packing tape on the back side. Try to stabilize this so I didn't get too much stretch. I was hoping to kind of skip that, but there's a lot of tooling here, and I think it would probably cause me problems if I didn't. I'll use my crowner. That's what that looks like. I don't know if I'll get up to Montana this summer or not. I'd like to visit Montana Leather, see their shop. marks on here so that I can see that that's the stem here. I'm going to use a horizontal thumbprint on these pedals. Okay, now for the vertical thumbprint. Same vertical thumbprint here. We're going to let this dry. I'll pull the tape off the back, and we'll come back when we're ready to form this into the clutch. And believe it or not, we're just about done. I have to decide whether I'm going to line it or not, and I'm leaning towards not. And the way this is going to go is this will fold up here to form the bottom of the clutch, and this is the top. So we're getting there. Be right back. All right, so I've let it dry, and I've kind of just formed it into the clutch. And I went ahead off camera here and used my bag punch to make a hole here centered up on the flap. So then I want to make sure I left enough space here for the the contents on the inside. I transfer those marks through to the inner side of it right here. Now, I'm gonna try something I've never done before, and it'll turn out great, and everybody will go, wow, that was cool, or it won't, and you'll go, wow, I didn't think that was gonna work. But let's hope it does. Yep. I'm gonna create 2 holes, the right diameter for this. Oh, I should also comment, I slicked the inside with Resin to keep from having any color transfer off that leather. So the idea is that's through there, and this flap comes over like this, and then I'll make a little tongue of leather that tucks down in there. And to hold this in place, I'm going to stitch this. Now let me think about this. Do I need to just do a stitch around these 2 flaps, in the back, or do I need to put a patch on the back? I'd rather not put a patch on the back, create any more stitching than needed. You know what? I'm going to try it. The worst we can do is start over. What is it they say? There's no going back. Go for it. We'll see if it works. And I think what I'll do is I'll sew just the leather as kind of a wrap, and then I'll go back through it and sew the D-ring into that. I think that'll give it the strength that it needs. Maybe I could have done it in one pass through there, but I'm usually kind of a more is better person, so I think this will give plenty of strength here. Tie a square knot on the back here. If I did that right, it's a square knot. Okay. So now with this set here, I'm going to just kind of mush this together, another technical term, and I'm going to put a mark up here where that folds over and sews to. Check it here. I think a 1/4 inch seam here will be enough. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my mark here. Line up here and put a little mark there. And we'll do 5. 1. You know what? The first one was tucked over on that one. I need 1 extra hole up here. I hope I'm not wrong, but I think I need 1 extra hole up here. And start from there. 5. I do have edge work to do. I'm going to save that for last. So let's set up in this stitching pony, and I will I'll stitch this together. We'll see if anybody's paying attention here. What's different today, right? There's somebody out there that's going, hey, that used to be mine. Here we go. That's our first edge. I won't torture you by making you watch this side over here. It's going to line up and be nice and square to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I think I'll go ahead and oil this, and then we'll come back. It's easy to see me oiling. I do have one more piece to sew on here, and we'll have a tab to go in there. I appreciate you taking time to watch today. I'm enjoying using this Vaqueta leather from Montana Leather. I think it's working good, and I think it's going to look beautiful once I get it all done and the edges done. We'll be back. So I went ahead and finished my sewing. I rounded over my edges. I started doing my burnish on here. It's just started, not finished yet. And I finished up by putting a coat of oil on here. So I need to locate my tab and get the right length on it. And I thought it would be interesting to keep it to where the point is kind of in line with where these flap cuts go to. So if I put it there, then the question is, how much is enough? I think that's about right. Maybe down just a hair. So I think I'll put it there and look at it, make sure it's lined up. It is. I'm just going to put a little mark up here to help me with my lining up. I know I hate covering up pattern, but I'm not in love with this center part anyway. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to slick down the back of this. I'm going to get this completely sealed up, burnish the edges. I'll use Resin on this, except for, you know, I keep going back and forth. When you put something like this on here, this could be considered a wear item, and it may need to be replaced in the future. So I don't think I'm going to use contact adhesive. I'm just going to use stitches up here. So yeah, I'm going to finish this completely off, Resin, get this all burnished down. I want it as slick and finished as possible. The main reason behind that is whoever's using this clutch is going to be handling this all the time. So I want this to have a nice feel to it. So I wanted to bring you up to date where we're at here. And some might ask, I may have covered it, but why don't you go ahead and use antiquing on here? And I wanted to showcase how well the leather takes on color without antiquing. One, some people don't like to do antiquing, and I think the burnish is really nice. So we'll see how it finishes out once I get the clear coat on here. So I'm going to go back offline here. I'm going to finish burnishing this all up, getting it all nice and cleaned up, slicked down, and work on my edges a little bit more. So when we come back, we'll be ready to sew this on. And after that, the last thing is really a coat of Resin on the complete clutch. All right, I'll be back in a minute. All right, so I've been working on this some. I'm just about there. I'm going to let the Resin on this dry a little longer. I'm going to sand the back of this flesh side, and the hair side's good, and we'll get that finished burnished up, but I'm really close on that. It's time to put my Resin on the bag itself, and I'm going to start here on the flap. Oh, I didn't show you my edges. Pretty good burnish on it. Okay, I think we're ready for the final step here. I need to sew this to the flap, and as you recall, I already found where I want it on the flap, so let's open this up and find my marks again. Double check myself. I laid out an X pattern here. I've never done that before. And one in the middle. The middle. There we go. I think, I'm sure it doesn't need it, but I'm going to double back over all of this. Probably doesn't need a knot, but man, I'd hate for the whole thing to fail just because of that. Let's smooth that down pretty well. Oh, I hope it worked, right? I'm going to put one more coat of Resin on there, and then we'll recap. All right, so we're finished. Let's take a close-up look here. Now, I know you're probably like, oh, red's not for me. There are, I think I said earlier, 7 colors. There are 6 colors of this Vaqueta leather, and they're all available in this same 8 to 9 ounce that I made this out of. So I think it looks really nice in red, but if that's not your color, black would look awesome as well. You've got blue, fuchsia, brown, and turquoise. So you pick which one you want. I may just have to make one of each. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't think I would change the design at all. Well, there you go. I'll tell you what, I think it looks pretty good. As I said earlier, there's 6 colors, so you have a wide range of options. It's a vegetable tan leather, and if you wanted, I know some people will take and put like black dye in these areas. Obviously, if you do that before you seal it, it would take black dye if you felt like you wanted to highlight it more. I think it looks really nice. I think this is a beginner project. If you want to make this without tooling, that's a really simple one. It wouldn't take more than, probably 30 minutes to make this if you didn't have tooling involved in it. I appreciate having you in the shop with me today. Please like, share, and subscribe, but more importantly, have a great day.